Welcome to Integrity Live. My name is Becca Whitney. I'm your host for this evening. And today I'm joined by the absolutely gorgeous Mitra Wicks. Hey, Mitra.
Hey, hey you. How are you, gorgeous?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I've escaped the lockdown, so I'm feeling very smug and happy.
Not that we're jealous at all, Mitra, but tell us where you are right now.
How are you, my love?
I'm very well, thank you. So I'm quite excited to have our chat today. So today we are getting into a little bit of a meaty topic, aren't we?
Very meaty and very essential that people know about it.
Absolutely. So before we get into the meat of what we're here to talk about today, so why don't you tell us a little bit about you, tell our viewers a little bit about Mitra.
Okay, well, I am the editor-in-chief of StarLife magazine, something I've had for about 5-6 years, and also I've done a bit of presenting. That's how I met you when I interviewed you and your band in Pride a few years back. That was really fun. And yeah, I also run Les Events, which is an event company for queer women and non-binary people.
Big fan of Les Events. I've been to a few.
I've seen you partying, and yeah, we're a big fan of you.
You know how to throw a party. I will tell you that. You certainly know how to throw a party.
And you are the party. You always are the party. So.
We like to bring it. So today we are here to talk about benzodiazepines and how they impact the individual, how dangerous they can be, how much lack of awareness there is about them, what they do to the body, what they do to the mind. And you're here very bravely today to share some personal experiences with us.
Yes, thank you. I'm literally, sorry, I'm just so happy that I can share my story, and I'm talking to you who, you know, I feel so comfortable sharing with, and I'm happy that I'm here.
I must actually say I think you're incredibly brave, and I feel very privileged that you've given us the platform to share your story and have a discussion about your experiences. So I thank you for that.
Thank you, lovely.
So tell us, where did your journey start? How did you first end up taking that kind of medication?
So I'm a travel journalist as well as the Les Events, and I have to travel a lot, and I love a holiday, so I'm just a traveler. But I had a very bad fear of flying, so that's how it all started. So I remember my mum used to take diazepam. She would have trouble sleeping. Now and then she'd take it. And I remember she gave me a diazepam, but she said, "Oh, be careful, only take a little bit." And I took it on a plane. I was like, "This is amazing. Like, my fear has gone. I feel like if the plane crashes right now, I'll be like, I don't care. Let the plane crash." I'm living my best cloud life in a cloud in my head. So it was great. It just got rid of that anxiety. So then every time I would fly, I would take it. And then with benzodiazepines, you develop a tolerance quite quickly. So 5 mg was great at first. It gave me that floaty feeling, calm me down. Then it did nothing. And then I had to start doubling it to 10 mg. So 10 mg is the maximum therapeutic dose that you're meant to take. And then I just went above that. I just started taking 20 mg. And then that was it. That was the highest dose I took. And it was sporadic use. So I was using it every time I'd go away. So I would say, like, I used, it was Valium, diazepam. So I used diazepam for, I would say, 4 years on and off. So it could be twice every month, a flight there, a flight back. There would be months where I wouldn't touch it at all. There could be a period of 3 months where I take it every week, because then I started taking it for insomnia. Which was really bad. And I probably went through quite a few withdrawals without realizing it, because I remember like 3 or 4 years ago when I went away with my girlfriend Samira. So our first date was just like a whole month in the Philippines. So we just went away for a month.
That's like, if you can get it, that's all right.
We did the whole lesbian usual thing. Just we're like, let's not date, let's just travel for a month and like move in together straight away. So we did that. I remember on that trip, I suddenly got these really, I mean, am I allowed to swear on this? Because benzos make me want to swear. Fuck big pharma. But no, on a serious note, I was traveling with her, and then I would suddenly get these crazy episodes where I'd be walking, like looking at this beautiful scenery on the mountains, and then all of a sudden I'd be like, oh my God, help me. And I would like collapse on the floor. My breathing would get labored. My heart rate would go crazy. And I would just be lying there, like being like, what's happening to me? Like, it was awful. And this kept happening a few times, but I didn't think it was the benzos. I just thought maybe it's some herbs I'm taking, because I would take a lot of herbs then for my health and like supplements. I didn't connect the dots. Anyway, fast forward to like 4 years later, this was summer of 2019, so I had taken quite a lot. I'd come back from Ibiza, and I remember a month after I stopped taking them, and I would go to my doctors and I would say, please, I'm flying again, please give me the benzos and the Valium. And the doctors would they were a bit, they were like, maybe I shouldn't give it to you, but they always would. And they didn't actually say to me, just so you know, if you take these benzos, there is actually the potential for withdrawal that is really, really serious. Like this is something that could leave you bedridden. This is something that can cause you problems for months to years. No one told me at all. So I was taking them, and so it was a month after I got back from Ibiza, probably a month after I stopped taking them, that the withdrawal hit me. And I remember I made it worse for myself because I didn't know anything about withdrawal. I didn't know that if you drink when you have withdrawn, it does something called kindling in your brain, where you because alcohol works on the same receptors in the brain, which are called GABA receptors, and as benzos. So there's a process called kindling, which is, it just makes your withdrawal worse. So I came back from holiday and I went on a night out, and I binge drank. I was a party girl. I started Les events because I was like, I love to party. Let me try and make this my job because I don't know what else. So I was a party girl, and I literally was just on a night out drinking. The next day, I just remember thinking, this is not a hangover. This is some other type of hangover. Like I got severe anxiety, like nothing I'd ever experienced in my life. Like it was like a chemical anxiety. Like my whole body seized up. You have a knot in your stomach when you're nervous. It was like that knot was like a scary chemical version times 100. I was like, oh my God, what's happening to my stomach? Like I can't unrelease the tension, and then I just got these really, really messed up episodes or attacks. I don't know what it was. They felt like heart attacks or strokes, like 100%. Like it was terrifying. Like I would suddenly just collapse to the floor. At one point, my airwaves started physically closing up. And I was trying to get the air in, and I couldn't. And now I found out that's called air hunger. It's a common symptom. But I thought I was dying. I thought, this is like, what the hell is this? My heart was going crazy. Like it was insane. So my girlfriend would call the ambulance, and then the ambulance would come on its way, and then I'd be like, call them back. I'm not going to make it. Like it literally felt I was so close to death, because the physical sensations were so inhumane that I just thought death is going to just be the end of what's happening to my body now. It feels that bad. Like this is not going to end well. And we'd call them up and say, hurry up, like she's not going to make it. It was that bad. And this would happen in the first month, like twice a week. So for the first month of withdrawal, I went to hospital 8 times in an ambulance in that month. It was like 8 times like in that month. And the doctors didn't know what was wrong with me. So I would go in there, they check my heart. They're like, there's nothing wrong with you. And I have to go home. And then there was one time I had a really horrific attack where I was putting my false eyelashes on, because I love my false eyelashes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, these babies aren't real. So I was putting my false eyelashes on, and then my left arm just wouldn't move. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like move on." So I was like, it was just hanging there, and I was like, "This is." I was just thinking something is so wrong here. Like something is like my left arm is now dead. I can't move it. My brain is saying move, it doesn't move. And I just thought, is this, have I had a stroke? Is it because I like to party? You know, like what is it? Went to the hospital. They did a CT scan. Nothing's wrong with you, go home. And then I was just thinking, well, I can't live like this anymore.
What is going on? Yeah.
What is going on? Like it was ruining my life. It was horrific. And my poor girlfriend was there with me every step of the way. And I just thought, I like, how can I live like this? Every other night we're gonna have to take me to hospital in an ambulance. So I started calling up detox centers, and I was like just thinking I need 24/7 care. Like that's how bad it was. I just thought, let me go and let me have nurses look after me, because I can't like keep doing this. And then I found out detox centers were like 10 grand a week or something crazy. I was like, what the fuck? So it was so bad. I finally found these Facebook groups for people that are going through benzodiazepine withdrawal, because I started thinking,
So
what, maybe,
I'm just going to interject. At what point
please.
did you realise it was the benzos? Had you realised at this
Yeah,
point that it was the
yeah.
benzos that?
So I was thinking, what could this be? So I was thinking, I was in Ibiza, I was drinking a lot, I was obviously dabbling in stuff you do in Ibiza. I was thinking, is there other things? And then I started to remember, like, what, I have been taking benzos on and off for 4 years, but recently I've been taking quite a lot. It's summer, I've been traveling. Maybe it's that. So I then went to research. I researched benzodiazepine withdrawal. Online, there wasn't much information about it. I then found these groups on Facebook where there are thousands of people from all over the world that are on there. And I wrote a post, and I was like, hey guys, help me. These are my symptoms. I keep having these episodes where I feel like I'm having heart attacks. I'm having like severe head pressure where I feel like I've been kicked in the head. Like, what is this? Like, it gets worse when I have a drink. Um, and I just had like, this amazing man, who's now one of my really good friends. He actually replied to that post, and he said, look, what you're going through is textbook benzodiazepine withdrawal. Like, you cold turkeyed, which you're not meant to do. You're meant to slowly taper off. I said, well, my doctors didn't tell me this. Like, what the fuck? And he said, you need to stop drinking, because that's what's made those episodes. So I remember, like, after I would drink, I would end up in hospital. It was that bad. It would get worse. You have to stop drinking for a while. You're going to have to wait 2 years after you're healed to drink again. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? 2 years after I'm healed. And then I found out that benzo withdrawal can last anything from a few months to like 7 years. And I was like, what the hell? Like, this is like another world I didn't know existed. Like, I found out it's harder to withdraw from than heroin. Harder to withdraw from than any drugs, opiates, heroin, cocaine, like anything, like the worst. And I had a moment where I was like, what the hell? And then obviously
I was looking when I was looking, doing research in kind of preparation for today. I was actually shocked by the information that's actually out there. I think if doctors told you that in the first instance, you would never touch them with a barge pole.
No,
So the first line I saw in the first article that I opened was that all benzos can cause physical dependence. All benzos can cause physical dependence. And it's estimated that around 40% of people who take these drugs for more than 6 weeks become addicted.
100%.
Just 6 weeks. So if you've had a serious injury, or you have anxiety, or for like you're using them for a purpose to your anxiety and your fear of flying, within 6 weeks of taking those, you can be addicted.
The thing is, with benzos, you can be addicted from the first one you take, because if you're someone who suffers from anxiety, you take it, you feel like you're in a cloud. You feel like this is amazing. And because there's no come down, because the next day you feel great. When it wears off, you feel fine. You just want to eat loads, which I love. So you don't think there's anything wrong with it. When other drugs people might take, like street drugs, you have a calm down, you're just like, oh, I'm not going to do that again. But with these, you take them, you feel like you're in a cloud, and you don't feel anything the next day, like in the early days, obviously. So obviously that will cause an addiction. But I think a lot of people feel like they look at the addiction side of benzodiazepines and they don't focus on what's more important, which is the physical dependence that our bodies get to them. So obviously, like when I fly, I'd be like, I'm going to take it again. But my issue, like if I was told this was going to happen to me, I wouldn't have touched it with a barge pole. And people that are going through benzodiazepine withdrawal, they're getting intense physical symptoms. Yeah, you get anxiety, you get depression, because why wouldn't you when your body's going through all this hardship and crazy symptoms? But most people in benzo withdrawal, they don't have any cravings. They don't have any, like, I'm on a groups with thousands of people suffering, and no one really talks about cravings. Like, they have a fear of benzos. It's the opposite, because that's what it did to them. So they don't want to touch it ever again. But
and it's like the reason that they would take it again is because of those physical symptoms that it causes, isn't it? The reason that somebody falls off the wagon and starts taking them again is because they can't take what it's actually doing to their body and their mind, trying to come off of them. That's what I saw in a lot of the stories that I read.
100%. No, you're right. A lot of people in the early stages, when they say they've cold turkeyed, like say I cold turkeyed without realizing it, there was a lot of debate on the Facebook groups that some people reinstate because the symptoms are so horrific that they're like, you know what, I can't do this, I'm going to reinstate, maybe taper off slowly in the future, or maybe I'm just going to stay on them. But the problem with that is that once you come off benzodiazepines and you want to then go back onto them, you, like I said earlier, you have a process called kindling, which means that you don't necessarily get relief when you go back on them. You actually get worse. And when you want to come off again, it's an even bigger horror story. So the reason why my story was quite bad was because I had gone through many withdrawals, and the final one combined with the alcohol kindled me. So yeah, I suffered for, I would say, 5 months was like complete hell. Like I was so you have like windows. You have windows and waves in withdrawal. So a window is a period of time where you feel great, you feel completely healed, you feel normal. A wave is when you have a period of symptoms. So that could last anything from like a few days to like 2 weeks to even more. I'm just talking about my experience here. So windows and waves, because the brain's healing is not a linear healing. So I, for 5 months, I was living in it was hell. I was bedridden when I had my symptoms, when I had my waves. When I had windows, I was feeling great. So I remember in the first month or two of withdrawal, I had a 3-day window, which miraculously occurred when I went camping, which was great at a festival. And then I had maybe 2-3 weeks of like severe symptoms, like extreme head pressure, and then like chemical panic attacks throughout that time. I had agoraphobia. I was scared to leave my flat. I had extreme monophobia, which I didn't know was a thing, but a fear of being left alone. Like my girlfriend would leave the flat to go next door to the shop, and I would be like, "Where are you going? Where are you going?" Like I would panic, And I'm a very independent person. Before benzos, I'd be going out, just love walking out the door, but I was terrified to be left alone. I had a weird fear of water at one point. Like I was terrified of the shower. Can you believe it? Like going in the shower and feeling water on my skin, like the water on my skin like freaks me out. I started feeling my heart doing some crazy things, so I was scared of being in the shower. When I'd go to a public loo, I'd leave the door open. I was terrified to close myself in somewhere. Crazy heart palpitations, crazy headaches. Like it was horrific.
So it actually made your anxiety worse. It actually increased it and spread it all around to a whole host of areas that it didn't actually exist in before.
This anxiety is nothing like normal anxiety, which is why I'm so against anyone taking benzodiazepines for anxiety, because when they come off them, the anxiety that you feel is it's like a chemical, inhumane, like fake anxiety. So I would be like, I couldn't watch Love Island, Becca. So I would be this happened to me in the middle of one of the most exciting seasons of Love Island. So I was watching Love Island mid withdrawal, and I would all the woe and tension and like cheating and the emotional pain that they were going through, I would feel it really physically in my chest. So I'd be watching it, and then all of a sudden, like my chest would get tight, and I'd go into a wave. So I'd be like, oh my god, and I'd like collapse to the floor, and like my heart would go crazy, my whole body would like feel like it's in a vice, like, and I couldn't like release. Like with, you can't relax in benzo withdrawal. You can't come home and sit on a chair and be like, oh, I'm relaxed, or you can't lie down and chill because your body is in a heightened state of extreme anxiety and physical tension because the calming receptors in your brain are downregulated. So it's like it's a hell. And one of the worst symptoms are, they're called toxic naps. So I would suffer severe insomnia waves that would last maybe 2 weeks. So there was a period where for 2 weeks I couldn't sleep more than 1 hour a night, and I thought I was going to die from lack of sleep because it was literally 2 weeks nonstop. I'd go to bed at 11, I'd still be awake at 7 in the morning, just lying there, and then I would drift off at 7, and then at exactly 7:30, I don't know why it's exactly 7:30, exactly half an hour, I would be jolted awake with a severe attack where my heart would be racing and my whole body would have this really crazy sensation of like burning and electrocution in my brain, like all over. And it was terrifying. And every time that happened, I would reach out and like call the ambulance because it was so severe. But obviously, I'm going to talk about the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. Did you go to your so you went to the hospitals in like
Yeah,
emergency situations, but did
yeah.
you go back to your GP like after the
Yes,
hospital?
yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I went to the GP. I remember I went into the GP's office. I mean, and I was like, I was so traumatized, and I went in there, and I started to feel this severe chemical anxiety, and like while I was there, and I was like, look, please help me. I don't know what's going on. My heart keeps racing. I keep having these attacks, collapsing to the floor. I can't breathe. And then I went and lied down on her. Like she had this bed thing, and I went and lied down on it. I was like, what's happening now? And I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like maybe it's because I took a lot of Valium. Do you think that's what it is? And she looked at me and she was like, I don't know. I don't think so. I think what you're suffering is it's angina. And I was like, what? Like, so she wrote it down for me. So my GP diagnosed me with angina, like a severe heart condition, just from looking at me. Just from looking at me sitting there saying,
Because your
I'm getting
anxiety
my
is not through the roof already. You know, my anxiety is
yeah,
not bad enough. You have to tell me
yeah,
that I've got angina. Yeah, right.
you've got angina. And I've told this woman I've been on benzos and I've cold turkeyed them, and she's diagnosing me with that. And it got so bad, I went to the doctor again, trying to tell them what my problem was with these benzos, and it was another doctor. And I said, look, these benzos that you have given me, have seriously like I'm in this withdrawal now. I don't know what to do. And she didn't know what to say to me. She said, I don't know what to say to you. She put me in touch with the drugs counselor of the GP, and he's this lovely man. He's not a doctor. He was not a doctor. He's just someone who deals with people that are coming off various drugs, but he knew more about it than any doctor. He actually said, he looked at me when I walked in, and he said, oh, poor thing. He said, you know what, this is going to take you at least a year. And I was like, a year? And he was like, yeah. And he was right,
What?
because it did take, I would say, the 5 months was hell. Then I had 3.5 months of feeling healed, and I was like, well, I'm over it now. It's been 5 months. Like it's done. I've been feeling great for 3 months. And then my symptoms all suddenly came back, really badly. I was like, whoa, I thought I was healed. And then I suffered again for another few months with some windows. But I would say I really turned a corner after exactly a year. So that was June this month. So after a whole year, I started feeling about 95% healed. Now it's been 16 months. I feel I'm 95% healed. I'm like enjoying life again. Like there are, I mean, there are good points from getting off benzos. Like everything feels like colors are more vivid. Like I feel more empathy towards people, anyone going through any kind of medical illness. Like I have real empathy for them and sympathy, and my friendships are more real. They're not, because I've had to give up drinking. I've now formed friendships in a sober way, and I think the friendships I've formed during this period and nurtured during this period have been like a lot more genuine and beautiful, and you know, I'm able to love more, if that makes sense. And also sex is great because when I was in withdrawal, I remember like I just was having the most crazy orgasms, and I was like, what the fuck? And I was saying to my girlfriend, like, what the hell are you doing down there? You know, it was like I was on another planet. I was like, whoa. And then I researched it on the groups, and I found that your senses are not dulled anymore. You know, you're coming alive. So that there's good points.
So did you feel like when you were taking them, were those things impacted? So did it impact your sex drive and your empathy and the way that you connected to people when you was taking them? Is that something that you can reflect on now?
That's a very good question, because I've not actually thought about that. But I mean, I've always had like I've always been like a very horny person. So you know, I've always had, you know, like good sex. Like it's always been great.
Your missus is like that right now. Yeah.
But the quality of my orgasms now are like, it's another level. So that's one thing I noticed. Like the intensity of that is like, you know, just like with, you know, with food that I eat, and you know, with the appreciation for life. You're not living in this cloud. You're actually just living now. And you asked another question. Did you say about friendships from before?
Yeah, I think was your levels of empathy different, and your connections with people different when you were taking them?
Well, I've always been a big empath. I've always, like, you know, really cared about people and felt their emotions, but obviously I was drinking a lot then. And when you're drinking a lot and you're doing other drugs and you're living that lifestyle, like, yeah, you can be selfish. You can not be as thoughtful because your mind is consumed by either the hangovers, or you would say, I would say stupid, inappropriate things when I was drunk. I'm not going to lie, you know, which is not ideal in friendships probably. But so yeah, I don't have that issue now, which is great.
So thinking back to you kind of talking about the GP, because I think that's something that struck me quite a lot, is that they actually don't even seem to know themselves the impact of what it is that they're prescribing. So we're in a culture where, you know, it's a quick fix, so fling them a pill and sort it out. Sort of therapeutic and holistic therapies are things that are not really considered anymore. And so I think there needs to be some kind of accountability for the doctors that are prescribing these things without looking at the impact that they're having on people's lives, you know?
Yes, I 100% agree with you. I have to also just say, you know, from being on these benzodiazepine groups, I've made friends with a few people, you know, who are close to me now, very close to me. One of my, you know, very good friends, I consider her one of my best friends. She's called Anya. She's in America. We've never met, but
she's here actually. Say hi, Anya. She's watching.
I love you. She's literally like a sister to me. And like, Anya was one of the first, you know, friends I made throughout this journey. And, you know, we would talk every day. We'd leave voice notes to each other every day, and we would talk about our journey. And we would, you know, she helped me so much when I was going through the horrific symptoms, and I'd be terrified. Like when it would happen, I would be terrified. So she knew so much about it because she was going through a withdrawal from Ativan. I'm pretty sure it was Ativan. I think that's the American word for lorazepam, or anyway, one of the benzos that's really bad. They're all bad. And so Anya was taking these as prescribed by her doctor. She was just taking them as prescribed. She, you know, she wasn't drinking. She thought she was doing the right thing. Like, you know, alcohol is bad, everyone, you know, drugs are bad. Like, just take what your doctor tells you to take. Take these pills. She thought she was being a good girl, taking these pills that her doctor gave her. She then suffered a horrific cold turkey. No one warned her about that. It was, you know, it suddenly hit her. I think after she'd had a lot of coffee, because your central nervous system becomes very sensitive to stimulants. So I think she had a coffee. that's when she went into withdrawal. She went to the hospital in America, and I'm talking about America here because I need to raise awareness at how worse it is in America. So Anya went to an American hospital, obviously in an ambulance, which probably cost her a lot of money because that's how messed up it is over there. They charge you. Went to the hospital. They put her on. She was panicking because she was like, I'm having these attacks. I think I'm having a heart attack. What the hell? They put her on a drip of more benzos. So they put more benzos into her veins, which, again, like I've told you before, this causes kindling, which is very, very problematic. And then they reinstated her on a benzo, and then she tapered off over the course of, I'm so sorry, Anya, if I've got this wrong, but I think it was about 18 months, or it was a long, slow taper. So during that taper, Anya was feeling very unwell with all the different symptoms, and then it took her about 18 months to feel completely healed. And I remember we were talking, and Anya stopped talking about benzo withdrawal to me every day. She'd talk about, she's a very, very good sex therapist. Another queer sister of mine, and she does amazing sex therapy for straight people and queer people. And so we started talking about LGBT issues, and she joined my Les Events chat that we had about like trans, and it was amazing. And then she felt amazing for about 4 months. She felt great. She thought, well, I'm over this now. It's been 18 months of suffering, 4 months of feeling amazing. Obviously the odd little something now and then, it's not a big deal. And then she developed salmonella, and she took 1 dose of an antibiotic that the doctor prescribed her. And she took it because we are taught to trust our doctors. We are taught, this serious man in a this uniform is telling us take this pill, so we're going to take this pill. And she took the pill. I'm so sorry, I'm getting really emotional talking about this. It literally just breaks my heart how doctors do this to people. So she took 1 pill, and she went back into a withdrawal worse than day 1 that she had 18 months ago. She was, I think, bedridden for the first month. She, I think, has been suffering now for 4 months. She's mainly housebound now. She can't walk a lot. She has horrific symptoms: chemical anxiety, extreme DPR. This is a symptom I've never had. It's derealization and depersonalization is a very common symptom in benzo withdrawal, which she has, where you feel like you see things in 2D. So you don't see the world like how me and you see the world. It's terrifying. So she's had that. She's had like burning under her skin, panic attacks, cortisol surges, waking up in the middle of the night. She tells me she feels like she's been kicked in the head numerous times, and she's very ill. And another reason this happens is when you have come off benzo withdrawal and your central nervous system is very sensitive. You have this chemical brain damage, and the brain takes a long time to heal, and antibiotics are very neurotoxic, a lot of them. And obviously antibiotics, if we're on a life and death situation, you might need to take them if you're going to die. But if you've got salmonella, or something that could have been helped with something else, or please take the other option, because I've had friends who are not going through benzo withdrawal, and an antibiotic has screwed them up for a few months, where they've had severe anxiety, depression, it ruins your gut health. So a lot of people in withdrawal are now scared to take antibiotics because there's a risk of a setback, and that's one thing people need to be wary of now. So alcohol can cause a setback because it works on the same receptors. Antibiotics causes setbacks. Setbacks that last months to maybe a year. Who wants to so it breaks my heart that my poor friend is now, she thought she was out of the woods. Again, she trusted her doctor. Again and again, this happened to her. And I just feel like people need to know this. Don't blindly listen to
some with long-term chronic health conditions. So I have a friend who I was having a chat with about kind of some of her experiences. And she has been on opiates and benzos since she was 19, and she's in her late 20s now. And she has, for her, at the time when she started taking them, there was no alternative offered. So that was all that was offered, was to take a pill, not realising the longer term impact of her on her body, and that actually she'll probably never be able to stop taking them. One of the things that she was saying to me, which I thought was really interesting, is that she was looking into a condition called hyperalgesia, which is caused by being on opiates. And then you get a condition where you then become extra sensitive to pain. So the medication that you're taking to actually take away the pain actually increases your reception to pain. And so now she's in a balance where the pain that she feels is even more intense than what it would be if she wasn't taking the benzo. So she has the period of time when the pain reduces, but then when the medication wears off, the pain is even more intense than what it was before she used to take that medication.
Yeah. I'm losing you a bit. If you just bear with me, I'm going to just check my internet. If you just bear with me for 1 second.
Yeah, no problem, my darling. I'm just going to read out a few facts while you're doing that. So for our viewers that don't know, different types of benzos. You've got Xanax, you've got Librium, you've got clonazepam, which I have a little bit of personal experience of, having suffered from anxiety. I was prescribed clonazepam at the beginning of this year for a couple of months. And so some of the symptoms and the withdrawal symptoms that you're talking about, Mitra, are quite familiar to me. And I think, and sort of Valium, that's another one. You don't necessarily know that that's what it is that you're taking. So I think, so another thing. So in a report was published in September 2019, it showed that 1.4 million people received benzos in 2019. Wow. That's 3% of the population of the UK were prescribed a benzo in some capacity in 2019. Shocking. What they don't tell you, like some of the things that we've been talking about. So if you stop abruptly, which most of us do because you don't realise that you need to taper it off, you don't realise that your body's become dependent on something and that it's going to impact you, you actually have to wean yourself off it. So just looking at some of the things, patients may develop withdrawal symptoms. So things such as nausea, malaise, irritability, blurred vision, sweating, nightmares, depression, muscle coordination problems, tremors, twitching, spasms. And then they say in rare cases, I don't think they are that rare because hallucinations is something that I experienced. Hallucinations, delusions, seizures, ringing in the ears.
Yeah.
Like if they told you all this stuff at the beginning, I think I would have rather dealt with my anxiety, my 100%. Natural forming anxiety, than deal with that.
100%, Becca. I mean, these drugs are actually not meant to be prescribed for more than 3 days. Like that is the actual It's crazy. That is what's recommended by the manufacturers or whatever. Like my friend who I'm staying with here, he works with pharmaceuticals. He is also someone who now is a bit suspicious of everything, and he wants to look into natural methods because he's seen the bad side, and even he told me you're meant to just take benzodiazepines for a few days and then you're meant to slowly taper off even that. And I'm hearing about people that have been on them for 30 years in America. 30 years. They Xanax when teenagers are going through the usual stress of puberty in school, and they go to the doctor, take a Xanax, and then they have to take Xanax for 30 years. It's horrified me. I have close friends in the UK that have been on them for 7-8 years. I have people aren't meant to be on them this long.
And so therefore we get into the crux of it then, isn't it? If they're only supposed to be used for 3 days for a short-term interim measure, but actually doctors are not telling you that. Why is that? Why do you think that is? What do you think the reason for that is?
Well, I mean, I'm talking about this in a worldwide scale here. So you have to understand that benzodiazepines are one of the most widely prescribed drugs that there is in the world. Exactly. I mean, in America, it's insane. The adverts, you're watching TV and then you'll see this advert of people running and having fun, and it looks really wholesome, and you're like, are you gonna advertise a skin cream? No, it's a drug. And at the bottom there's a disclaimer may cause sudden death, cardiac arrest, and I'm like, what is this? How is this okay? How is this allowed? It normalizes it. It normalized this drug taking culture needs to end. This pharmaceutical drug taking culture where, I have a good friend of mine, another one of my close bestest friends, and she said to me, I started taking the pill when I was young. This is someone who doesn't have sex with men. Like, this is someone who's gay, but at a young age was told, everyone's on the pill. Everyone's on the pill. You reach puberty, your friends are on the pill. Go on the pill. It's what you do. She said it was just what we did then. So I'm just thinking, this poor person just wanted to, just did what they thought, that we're conditioned to do, take a pill. But you're taking synthetic hormones. You're taking something that is distorting the hormones in your body. And I was on the pill for a long time. I was on a pill that actually it was called Dinet. It actually causes higher risk of blood clots and everything, and I was on that pill for a long time. I didn't know the risks. I blindly took it. It was to help my acne, which I was suffering from. I also took antibiotics to help my acne. My doctor gave it to me. I took it for months. That antibiotic use for months completely ruined my gut health, to the point where to this day my gut health is compromised. Like, I can't eat loads of sugar, I can't eat loads of bread like everyone else, because I will feel the effects. So any health problems that I have had have been the direct cause of pharmaceuticals. And there's a word for that. The term for that is iatrogenic illness. So if you research iatrogenic illness, this is an illness caused by medical intervention, by pharmaceuticals, by doctors. And there are people out there suffering for months to years purely because they trusted their doctors. And
people will be under the misconception that a doctor or a pharmaceutical company is there for our best interests, right? They're there to cure us and help us to get better. But actually, the reality is there's no money in the cure. They're not there to cure you. They're not there to make you better. No. They're there to keep you medicated. And so they will keep prescribing and they will keep giving, because that's where their profit margins are. It's not actually 100%. About your health.
No. Of course it's not about your health. There is no healing in pharmaceutical drugs. This is a band-aid. It's not just a band-aid. These drugs they're causing harm to our bodies. They are detrimental to our health. Our future health is going to be severely compromised because we're taking these antibiotics, we're taking these birth control pills, we're taking these benzodiazepines, these opiates, and people are living in this false sense of security that they're trusting authority. And if we speak out, conspiracy theorists, or like, trust your doctors, like, I had friends who didn't believe me when I went through benzo withdrawal, and that it lasted for a lot. They couldn't comprehend that doctors that they're supposed to trust could do this to someone and make them so severely ill for so long, because people, they can't handle that fear of believing that people in authority figures can actually harm us, because you don't want to comprehend it, so they'd rather not know, because it's disturbing. But I've lived through it. I have close friends who have lived through it. All these hundreds of thousands of people that are going through it, worse than me. I'm lucky to say, what, I'm practically 95% healed at 16 months off. I'm living my life. I'm traveling. I enjoy, my life even more now. I'm so grateful to have good friends, good family, and a girlfriend who I love so much, and she loves me. And if it wasn't for her, I might have considered taking my life. And I'm not someone that has considered suicide, or I've not suffered from depression. I've not suffered from anxiety except through flying before, but when I was going through those intense physical symptoms of benzo withdrawal, where I couldn't, I kept feeling like I was going to die. I kept lying down and feeling all this pain day after day, like a Groundhog Day. I was thinking, if I was alone throughout this process, I don't know if I could have coped. But I had her there to help me, and not everyone has that. Not everyone has that. So we need to get the word out and prevent people going through months and years of suffering. There are people who have protracted withdrawal, which is rare, but some people are suffering 7 years. 7 years. Some people are literally bedridden for a long time. So and they are people that took their drugs as prescribed by their doctors, and it breaks my heart.
But looking at you now, looking gorgeous and healthy as ever, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Like I can see that, you know, you're still on the journey, and we say you're 95% there. We've still got a little bit of a way to go. So what helped? What helped you get to where you are now?
Okay, that's a very, very good question. So obviously, well, giving up the things that triggered my symptoms really helped. So giving up alcohol really helped, because my brain was able to heal. And I had to give up caffeine completely because stimulants, my central nervous system is very hypersensitive, so stimulants would trigger my symptoms. I had to give up coffee. I gave up sugar, which triggered symptoms early on. I gave up smoking. I gave up anything fun, yeah, like that I enjoyed. I had to give it up, damn it. And you know what? On a positive spin on this, if it wasn't for benzo withdrawal, which was horrific, I probably would have carried on with my very hedonistic lifestyle. You know, I was very, I've always been a pleasure seeker. I'm not going to lie, and I would, you know, party every single weekend and feel like hell the next day, and I would still do it again, you know. So this physically stopped me from doing that, so in a way that's good. I started doing a keto diet because one of my really good friends who I met through my benzo journey, he's called John Lloyd, he's in America. He's literally an incredible person, like a brother to me, and he recommended I go on the keto diet. There's a lot of studies that show that the keto diet helps with brain healing. It helps prevent seizures, just as well as prescription medication for people that suffer epilepsy. So there's actual studies in this. So I started to think, well, you know, I was at risk of seizures in the early stages of withdrawal, and if it's healing for the brain, I'm going to try it. So I changed my lifestyle. I stopped eating obviously all the wrong things. I only had organic meat. So I had organic meat, grass-fed meat, wild fish, organic fruit and veg. I literally went and lived such a holistic lifestyle because that's the only way you're going to heal. Not these drugs that the doctors give you. It's just from nature. That is how you heal your body. And we have to remember our bodies are incredible, and they have such a strong ability to heal. And a chemical brain injury takes a long time to heal, but you do heal in the end. So I believe that diet helped, cutting out all the wrong things helped, having obviously the love of my partner helped, and my friends, and that really helped me through it. Staying calm, because you don't have, like, stress can obviously trigger symptoms even more. You know, so making sure I was always calm, and having, you know, my friends, my benzo buddy friends that have been through it to calm me down when I was having an attack, that's invaluable. And yeah, like now, 95% healed, living life again. Now and then I get the odd attack. Like I mainly get triggered by certain things. So the other day, so I've been feeling great for a few months. I've been feeling amazing on holiday. The other day, I had a bit of Spanish jamon. So I was like, I'm on holiday. I've heard that, you know, packaged meats and stuff. I only eat a very clean diet, but I was like, you know what? I'm 16 months off. Let me have a little bit of jamon. And it was a big mistake. I then developed a really severe headache. It got worse. I went out for dinner. It just got really bad. And then when I went to bed, I was again woken up with a cortisol surge, and my heart was racing, and I felt like it was going to explode, and it was terrifying. And I had to call my girlfriend, who was just socializing on the terrace. I was like, Samira, come and help me. And then I was terrified, like, you know, all jokes aside, I was like, I thought I was going to die. And she was holding my hand, and it went. It was 15 minutes, and it went. I messaged my friend Anya in America. I'm like, why is this happening? And I feel guilty messaging her because she's going through a horrible hell, worse than me, so much worse than me with the antibiotic setback. But she helped calm me down, and I got through it. And today I feel amazing. And, you know, I have to be wary of things. So the reason why I interacted with the ham is because processed meats, when they're cured, the glutamate content increases, and glutamate, and you can Google this because it's very sciencey, glutamate actually is what causes affects the brain in a negative way when you're going through benzo withdrawal. So because that was high in glutamate, and it contained nitrates, which is a preservative that is a known carcinogen. It's actually a proven carcinogen, cancer causing. And
Yeah.
you put a nitrate with something that has high glutamate onto a severely compromised central nervous system, you're going to get a reaction. So for most people, to have processed meats on a regular basis is detrimental to their health. Someone that's been compromised from benzodiazepines, it's even worse. So yeah, I just have to watch out now for everything. I read the ingredients. I live a very clean life because I have to.
That's amazing. I think you're an absolute warrior. I think you're an absolute warrior. It's really difficult to sit up and talk about the things that impact us. So maybe, you know, the bad choices that we made actually impact on our life and our health. And I think it's incredibly brave of you to sit up and share your story, and actually really inspiring to see that you've done the journey. As hard as it is, it can be done and it can be overcome.
Yeah.
So I think, you know,
100%. And I also just wanted to say, because I don't want to trigger anyone that might be going through benzo withdrawal right now. They may be tapering, they may be thinking of tapering. I have to also reiterate that not everybody has a bad withdrawal. You know, the figures are unknown, but I think it's predicted that like 50% of people get a withdrawal, 50% of people can get nothing. Like, I've actually spoken to friends who told me they were on Xanax for years and they cold turkey and they felt nothing. You know, my girlfriend was taking as well on the flight. She didn't go through a withdrawal. You know, I personally think certain things make you more at risk of withdrawal being severe, and that is drinking alcohol, that is kindling, like stopping. So I actually, a month into my withdrawal, because I didn't know I was in withdrawal, not only did I drink, I actually took a benzo, which is the worst thing you can do, because that kindles you. So and I had repeated.
Doesn't that put you back right back at the start of the withdrawal?
Right back at the start.
Just taking that one, right back.
Yeah, if I took a benzo now, like a lot of people in benzo withdrawal, they think about getting medical bracelets or even tattoos that say no benzos, because in America, where it's just really, really bad, you might go into hospital one day having an attack, or you might be unconscious and they might pump you with a benzo, and then you're screwed, because it will put you back into maybe day one, and it might cause you months to another year of suffering. So, you know, repeated withdrawals is not good. Taking it and then stopping and then taking it again is bad. So, you know, if you're someone that's been on it for a few years and you slowly taper off, you know, there's a chance you will have a very smooth withdrawal. You know, you eat healthy, you stay away from the things that cause setbacks, and you know, you can withdraw safely. So I don't want to trigger everyone, but I think it's very important to warn people, because I really wish I was warned, you know.
Well, I suppose that's important to say to our viewers, that if anybody is taking benzos now and is actually thinking, oh my gosh, I want to come off of this, don't just do it cold turkey. Do actually go and get some advice about how you do that to support yourself and your body. Don't just stop.
100%. And the advice I would give is, you know, obviously a lot of doctors, as we've talked about, don't know anything about benzo withdrawal. They're not trained in it, which is disgraceful, but it's the way that our society is. So I would say do your research, go and research the Ashton manual. So that was a manual, the only manual we have by a professional, a doctor called Heather Ashton, who sadly passed away recently. I believe she got a knighthood or something, but she was a very important person in the benzodiazepine community. She had a benzodiazepine withdrawal clinic, I think in the 80s or the 90s, and she wrote this manual where she's you can Google the Ashton manual, you can read it. It's a bit dated, so there's things in there you need to change. Like she said, alcohol's fine now and then, but now people say no alcohol until 2 years after you're healed. I would go onto Benzo Recovery on Facebook, Benzo Warrior Community, and Blazing Benzos if you like a bit of weed. That is a group that is more they're open-minded. They talk about medical marijuana, how it might help with symptoms. They talk about you know, there's a group that talk about psychedelics even, you know, if you're interested in that. But you know what? It's a journey personal to everyone. I would personally, maybe in the beginning, I would personally even stay away from marijuana and CBD, because for some people it can cause a setback. But just educate yourself, and don't always listen to what your doctors tell you. Do your research,
Yes, yes.
you know,
I think that's quite a
and
nice point to finish it on, actually, is don't always necessarily listen to what the man in the suit is telling you. Actually take the time to go and look into it for yourself. I think that's really
a hundred
important.
percent. I mean, do we have like 2 more minutes? Because
Of course
there's
you do, of
one.
course you do.
Because yeah, I just also wanted to say uh, the whole point about not always listening to your doctor. Do your own research, and then use your own knowledge. Obviously, don't completely like dismiss the doctor, because that can be dangerous as well. But um, that's my disclaimer. Like, disclaimer. Don't just ignore everything. Like, if you're dying, like, just take the drug.
Yes,
But
yeah.
take the blood
The leg is
transfusion.
hanging off. You might want to take the benzo.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I when I went into the hospital in the early stages of withdrawal, and they thought I had a stroke. So I had a CT scan, and they did the CT scan, and they didn't find anything at first. But then when I went back to another repeated withdrawal episode where I was panicking, they said, we've looked at your scan of your brain, and there's a tiny benign tumor in there. And I was like, oh my God. And obviously, because I was suffering from benzo withdrawal severe anxiety, that was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I'm
Oh
gonna
my
die.
God.
Can you believe my luck? Yeah. But later on, the doctor explained to me, you know what, this tumor it's an incidental finding. She said probably loads of people have it. No one will ever know till they die, because it was a routine finding, and we saw it. It's tiny, it's not cancerous, it's barely even there. I couldn't even see it the first time. There's obviously 80% chance it's not going to grow. There's a 20% chance it might grow. Then you can have a surgery, but that's very rare. So I'm not even bothered about it now. Like, I've researched it. I'm not bothered about it. It's like, it's almost. They said that it's calcified, which means it's stopped growing. But knowing that there's something there, I'm still, with my diet, I'm very careful. So I know that sugar feeds tumor cells. So that's why I'm very anti-sugar, and I know that keto diet is very good for shrinking tumors, and for preventing tumor growth. So I'm very mindful of my diet. But one thing they said they were going to do was like, I could come in and have a scan every year to see how it grows if I want. So I remember going in to see the neurologist, and I told her about this, and she laughed at me. I was freaking out. She was like, why are you even worried? She's like, this is like nothing. It's so small. It's not going to cause you problems. It's just live your life. Like, it's nothing to even worry about. But if you want, we can we can scan it every year. So I said, yes, let's scan it. So then I got a letter saying, come in for your scan. And they said, as part of your scan, you need to be injected with this chemical drug called gadolinium, which is it's called contrast. I was like, what the hell is this drug they're going to put into my veins? I started reading the information about it, and the side effects may cause heart palpitations, may cause toxicity, may cause like sudden brain damage or problems. I was like, oh my God, like, I'm not doing this. What the actual fuck? Like, my brain is already really like damaged. My central nervous system is damaged. I'm not going to put a toxic heavy metal into my veins. Are you kidding me? So I went and did research on this. I found Facebook groups where it's very, very sad. There are thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people on these Facebook groups that have suffered gadolinium toxicity as a result of trusting their doctors, going for a routine scan, getting injected with this metal. The doctors say, oh, it'll be out of your system in a few hours. They have reported within minutes of getting the injection, or hours, they have severe symptoms that completely disable a lot of them, like creepy crawlies crawling under their skin, burning, heart palpitations, extreme headaches, like these people are disabled. So I was looking into their stories. They are living for years as a result of this one injection. For years, they are disabled. They can't leave their homes. They are suffering. Their skin changes color and gets lumps on it. They are poisoned. They have been poisoned by a drug that their doctor routinely injected into them, and they trusted their doctor. And because I have this knowledge now, and this healthy distrust of the medical profession, I will research something like that. So if I was someone who blindly trusted my doctor, I could have said, you know what, yeah, inject that into my veins. And someone that has a very compromised central nervous system from the chemical injury of benzos, imagine what that would have done to my body and my brain. I could have prolonged my suffering for years. So we have to look at the bigger picture. You know, don't always trust what you're told. Like look at other ways if possible. Look to healing from nature. The food you eat, everything you put in your body affects all the cells in your body. Research the foods you eat. You know, there are always other ways.
The body is an amazing thing, and for almost every illness that there is on the planet, there is a plant in nature that can treat it or support it. And so you don't necessarily have to go straight down the medical route. Just do your research, read a bit, read the inserts. Read the inserts. I think that's really important to say to people. Most of us don't. We don't read the inserts. We just take the pill.
Read it. Exactly, read it, because you know a lot of us don't, because we're just like, oh, this is nothing, this is rare. Read it. And yeah, like you're right, there's so much in nature that's healing. Like there's, you know, go and research turmeric, go and research the healing properties of turmeric, you know, the antiviral, anti-cancer. Like go and research, you know, saffron, which, you know, a study in an Iranian university showed it was just as effective as an antidepressant in healing depression. Like that is a big thing. You know, we have to look at, you know, there are people on antidepressants that are causing them long-term issues. You know, obviously the withdrawals are not as horrific as benzodiazepines, but there's some horrific withdrawals from antidepressants. You can go and take saffron. There's St. John's wort, which is great for uplifting the mood. There are many things that we can look at, and you know, we just have to keep looking. Just research.
Keep asking questions. That's the key, isn't it? That don't just blindly follow, but actually ask the question.
Exactly.
So when are you coming back to the UK, Mitra? You know, you're swanning around the Med right now. Not that we're jealous at all.
You know what? I'll try and bring back some sun. That's a really cheesy thing to say, because I'm actually not going to bring you. I'm not going to bring you any sun. It's lies. I'm just going to come home. Yeah, I'm coming home on Friday, and yeah, I'm just going to try and I don't know, bury my head in my cat's fluffy stomach, because it brings me joy, just to like not feel the mental health effects of lockdown and really cold England. But yeah, no, Friday.
I'm just gonna let you know it is bloody cold here. It's absolutely freezing.
No. Oh my god, it's gonna be such a shock.
Yeah.
I'll get through it.
I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it for you. Yes, it is.
I'm literally gonna call you up and cry.
Tell us what's happening next with Les Events. What can we look forward to in the coming financial year?
As soon as the government just allow me, I will be hosting just a great event with COVID guidelines, of course. I don't know if we're allowed to dance, babe. Like dancing is kind of illegal now, isn't it? Yeah.
Right? And singing and talking and hugging and just being a normal human, apparently.
Exactly. So I will be planning an event that is COVID friendly. So whether we might all sit around a table and just party like this, you know. But whatever I plan, it's gonna be fun. So I hope to see you there.
Lovely. So tell us how people can find out a little bit more about you. Where can they find the magazine? Where can they find out about Les Events? You
can my magazine is called StarLife. So it's just 7. You can Google StarLife, it will come up. The Instagram is StarLife Mag. You can follow me on Instagram, Mitra Wicks, and Les Events, which is just Les Events _. And anyone that is worried about benzodiazepine withdrawal, you know, I'm here. I just wanted to say you can reach out to me at any time. You can message me on Instagram. I want to help anyone that has any questions and point them in the right direction.
Beautiful. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Mitra. It's been really insightful, and I thank you very much for sharing your story and your journey with us. We really do appreciate it.
And thank you so much.
I'm going to let you get back to the party that's going on in the background now, because she hasn't told us this, guys, but she's waiting. She's waiting to go and have a little shimmy around the pool. Not that we're jealous.
I know. We're having a bit of a cheeky barbecue party around the corner. They're not putting the music on till I'm finished, so I'm going to go party now.
We're going to let you go then. All right. Well, thank you very much, and we'll speak to you soon. Take care.
Thank you, Becca. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.